All right, so today I'm going to take a look at gold, silver, and miners and how deep this correction we're in could go. I'll look at this week's action in stocks and show you what I've been watching after a big week in small caps, but a reversal on Friday. And I'll take a look at Bitcoin since I've gotten some requests to discuss that. So first, if you like this video, please subscribe and share. You can also get free email alerts on all of my trading activity and analysis from my blog at relativestrengthpro.com. So silver and miners continue to be my highest focus, but gold is typically the driver in metals. So I like to look at the long-term charts each week and just see. It can be really easy to get hyper-focused on the short-term action, but the bigger picture continues to be a correction back to previous all-time highs. Nothing is really out of the norm here going back to 2012, 2013. We are still just trying to battle up through this resistance that we broke back down again. We've taken 2 attempts and been rejected hard twice, but now we're starting to make some higher highs and higher lows, and let me focus in on that actually. So here we have a close-up, and the question is this making a higher low now as this corrects? And will this then move up higher to where we were in the summer? So I'll be watching those longer term charts to see what happens to some of these indicators, like if the MACD crosses over or if the RSI is able to hold at a medium value and not drop all the way back into oversold. I think odds are high that we could see a little bit more of a correction in the shorter term here, but dropping far below it and continuing into a big bear market, I don't think is as likely. Anything could happen, but I do want to see some of these trends reverse and show a little bit stronger power here. So RSI, for example, got extremely oversold and now isn't able to make a deeper oversold condition and is making a higher price. I think those are some positive developments there. So switching over to silver, precious metals have consolidated for a week, and this is what we wanted to see. I was even getting close to buying on Thursday when we started to push above these 2 resistances here, but it didn't hold, and Friday was another big drop and left us thinking, maybe the bottom from last week could be retested, or we could even go a little bit lower. I will say this though, while the moves of the last week look bad, indicators are getting oversold like I just showed in gold, and you can see here in silver too. While this was a big sudden move down, overall not a lot of damage has been done, especially in silver. So it may come down lower, but even if it does, it will still look strong to me, and just wait for a reversal and don't try to catch a falling knife, as this will likely continue. But if this is able to show some signs like it almost started to here, it will be worth the risk of taking a position that could possibly move a lot higher. Switching over to the miners, this is GDX. Even though the miners have been hit the hardest, they could make higher lows as well. A failure and a quick sell-off also below here wouldn't be out of the question. It wouldn't surprise me. It would get traders very nervous if this were to make a lower low, but then potentially reverse quickly. So again, I need to be nimble and wait for something to happen that shows strength when traders aren't really expecting it. So traders have been eager to buy metals since they peaked in August, and we've been able to miss most of this. I have gotten in a couple times on metals here and back in November that reversed, but overall I've saved myself a lot of heartache by just being patient, and I think that's the same thing should be done now. Take your risks when you feel like the timing is right, but right now with this candle here, this isn't the right time, and the start of next week probably isn't either. On the Russell, so in stocks, my plan has been to stay long as the Russell doesn't reverse its jump from the start of the year here. So here's a couple key levels that I'm watching where there were opening gaps, and then lows for the day that were made that I hope will be respected. On Friday, we saw a little bit of reversal from the previous days. This in itself doesn't really have me too nervous, but there were a lot of underlying stocks that I do feel like there were problems. One of them that I highlighted is here. This is Wayfair, and this action makes me nervous. So making a very, very big move that's completely reversed and that holds into the close. Wayfair wasn't the only stock to see this sort of activity, and that's what gets me nervous. Is sometimes smaller stocks can be a bellwether for some of the larger ones. Obviously, I've said that the Russell is leading, and this could continue to be sort of the start of the driver of a correction in the future, potentially. I mean, everything could just keep going up. I'm not gonna fight the trend, but it is getting harder to hold. And situations like this aren't investable. If something is going up, from 280, 290, makes it to 360 within a couple of days, and then comes back down under 300 again, moves like that, you can just take a piece of it and call it a day. But there's no real way to invest in direction in stocks like this when action like this is happening. So I err on the side of caution if that's going to happen. Taking a look at the Nasdaq, other indexes aren't really following along as I had hoped, like they would with the Russell. I was hoping that we'd see a little bit more of a consistent breakout, but 2 red days and one specifically that comes back down and ended right at that 13,000 level where we had a previous breakout. It's still acting as support, but if that were to break, that's just another sign that we're in it for maybe a deeper correction, something that's real. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing that sort of a deeper correction, something that tests some of these levels that goes down to 12,300 or even 12,000. This would still be positive in the long term. Short term, traders would panic. They're not used to any sorts of corrections, back basically, since November, where there was a little bit of a correction, or even, March when we had the huge one. But a correction that goes down 5-10% would be good. And then I would feel confident in taking a larger position in stocks, and even taking some leverage positions in the short term if I think the bubble is going to resume and this isn't turning into a long-term top. So last, I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin. I've been asked a lot about this, and we've had our first real correction we've seen in a long time. Price corrected 25% in just a matter of days, and now it's deciding on which direction it wants to move next. So as you know, if you follow my blog, I bought the breakout at 20,000. This was the previous all-time high. And my plan was just buy the breakout, and if it drops back down, sell it. But anytime it breaks above, try to ride that momentum. So I was able to ride a lot of this. I took profits on the way up. I took some at 23,000 was even the earliest. Then I let a lot of the position ride. I think I sold it 30,000 on some stops that were hit there. And then all of my stops were hit as it made it through some of these moving averages. I don't want to take the risk of whatever the long-term top might be. I think that Bitcoin is just a momentum stock right now. So think of it as a penny stock that has a lot of attention on it. It could be more than that in the future. I believe in the blockchain technology. I believe that digital currency is the future. I don't necessarily think that it's Bitcoin, and I don't necessarily think that digital currency means that Bitcoin is going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in the future. I could be wrong on that, but the way that I'm going to play it is try to ride the momentum in the short term. So my plan at this moment is the same as it was when it was at 20,000. So right now the high is right around 41,500. If this goes above 42,000 at some point in the future, I'll buy it again, and I'll have the same sort of mentality. If it drops back down, I'll sell it. If it goes up and down over and over, I'll have a lot of small sales. But if the momentum picks up again and this goes to 50, 60, 70,000 or higher, who knows, I will have a position until it hits a major correction like this that I don't feel comfortable anymore. This is really the only way that I see it possible to play Bitcoin. And really, you know, this is my strategy for a lot of stocks, not just Bitcoin, but this is an extreme example. You just want to catch where you can get a large chunk of the gains, and you don't want to be in the stock that is in this unknown period where, you know, the MACD has crossed over, RSI doesn't look strong. There's people who are buying this dip because it's the best price that they've seen in days. But that's not the right reason to buy. You should buy this when you feel like the momentum is improving. This is true for any stock, not just Bitcoin. So right now, I think it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of correction. I don't know where it'll come down to. I don't know what it will go up to, but I do know that I can identify when there's a change in momentum, and I'll ride it for as long as it lasts. So again, if you like this video, like and subscribe, and visit my website at relativestrengthpro.com for email updates during the week.